things? How's the form, man?
Yeah, not too bad, Enda, not too bad. I was going to say, hopefully, our podcast it'll probably maybe last the same length of time that Davies boys kept the ball for at Crow Park then at the weekend.
I tell you what, I was actually talking to a Dub today now, and they're at the hurling game as well, but they left the football at half time because they're that disgusted.
You see,
Uh,
it's a tricky one, Enda, right? But I have a sort of a theory on it, these things are obviously done intentionally, right? And there's a number of, for me, there's a number of things like when you're minding possession of the ball. There's three things for me. One, you're managing the game, right? So Roscommon are managing that moment where it's 5 minutes before half time. That they're clutch moments. They're moments where major things can happen. So instead of being 4 points up at half time, Roscommon could very, very perceivably be all square if they make a mistake and Dublin hit the net. And all your good work that you've put in the first half, all your really, really hard work to get in front of Dublin and control the game, because ultimately, Enda, what you want to be doing is you want to be facing the game, not chasing the game. You want to be in control of games, right? And particularly if you're the underdog. And regardless of where Roscommon finished in the league, Roscommon were going in on Sunday with a lot of mental scar tissue from previous defeats, a lot of huge mental scar tissue. If you think back to like 14, 18, 22-point defeats that Roscommon have taken off Dublin in National League and Championship matches.
yeah.
So we went in with a game plan of, right, we manage the game. When we have the ball, the opposition can't hurt us. And that's the reality. When you're in possession of the ball, the opposition can't hurt you. And the third thing is, if you look at Gaelic football now, over 65% of scores in Gaelic football come from turnovers. So what does a team want to do? A team wants to limit the amount of turnovers that they're making in games. And if you're keeping possession of the ball and you're tidy in possession and you're keeping it for long bouts of slow play, you're limiting your turnovers. You're not playing the game like a basketball game, right? But when the game turns into a basketball game, that's when you're most vulnerable to a goal or whatever, right? But for me, and I have no issue with what Roscommon done on Sunday. No issue whatsoever. I think a major part of their progression this year has been Conor Carroll in nets. I think he's been a huge addition. He's actually a nephew of Brian Carroll, the county chairman. Conor is actually a Galway native. He's actually from the Oran Moor Club in Galway. Played a bit of underage football for Galway as well. But he played in the successful Roscommon team that beat Down in an All-Ireland under-20 semi-final 2 years ago. He's been a major addition from them because he obviously gives them a great outlet and out the field. He's comfortable coming out the field. Colm Lavin, their second choice keeper, is a wonderful personality, great guy to have about the place as well. Colm will obviously be disappointed that he's not playing, but at the same time, it's his experience will obviously help Conor's development as well, because Colm's that sort of a guy and will help him bring him on. But the additions that Davies had from the under-20s, Ben Carr has been absolutely sensational for them as well. Big Keith Doyle around the middle. Richie Hughes is playing well. Kieran Lennon, a very, very quiet lad. Kieran's a very, very quiet lad, and Davey seems to be getting a lot out of him. He kicked the first 2 points from play on Sunday against Dublin. Really athletic. Roscommon have always had good athletic stuff for bowlers, Andy. And even holding back the likes of Cox. Like Connor is a forward who's probably, he's a very individual, and he plays very individualistically. Okay, so he can be a great impact to come in late in the game, rather than stick to a game plan. Because
shoot on sight.
This is the thing, though. If you have that personality in your team, and there's nothing wrong with that sort of personality, but if you're going into a game with your game plan and we need to keep the ball, we need to play this game on our terms, you can't have someone making a mad decision in the heat of the moment and deciding to take on a score from 45, 50 yards when it's not on. But Enda, let's call a spade, right? When Dublin were in their prime, their whole mantra and their whole theory was, if we keep the ball for longer than 60 seconds, the chances of the opposition making a foul or an opening happening is obviously going to become greater. The percentages are going to increase greater, that we're going to find a way to break down this opposition, because obviously the longer you hold the ball for, then someone's going to either commit a foul or a gap's going to open up, or someone's going to drive or punch a hole or kick a point, and that's ultimately what Roscommon were doing on Sunday, and I don't think you can blame them for that, big man.
No, I'm not blaming them, but I'm more so going to focus here on Dublin. Are they more conservative over under Jesse here? Like, it was obviously. Go on.
I think Jason Sherlock has been a major loss for Dublin. Okay, I think Jason Sherlock as a coach is a very, very astute coach. He's a very, very knowledgeable coach. He was an extremely gifted footballer. You could see the way he played the game in a very creative manner as well, and excitement and flair about his game. He is a very, very, I know obviously from that Dublin team of 17, 18, from watching them very, very closely and very intensely. I was obsessed with them nearly from a coaching perspective. Jim Gavin and Jason Sherlock had struck up a great partnership. And I think the level of coaching, not criticizing any of the coaches that are there now, but I don't think they're at the same level from a coaching perspective. I can see from a coaching perspective that they don't seem to be at the same level. And now that could be a player thing as well. It could be the fact that the players, this current crop of players, maybe aren't of the same caliber as the 2017, 2018 crop. But you're still looking at the likes of Mick Fitz, Cluxton, Fenton, McCarthy, Conn, Kilkenny. They're still there. The core of that group is still there, boss. So you can't really say that. But for me, from a coaching perspective, I think what would have happened there, Enda, it would have been the whole way through the National League. Roscommon played a very possession-based orientated game, right? Yeah. They wore Tyrone down with a lot of possession. Niall Daly picked up a lot of loose ball. He had a high percentage of possession counts in that league game. They did the same against Armagh, and both teams were dropping off them, and maybe trying to invite Roscommon onto them. And Roscommon played that game, so it's not Dublin would have expected Roscommon to have produced a period of this, right? But I think in play, Dublin were one of the most intelligent teams at working the opposition out. So in 2018, I remember playing golf with Niall Morgan a few years ago, and Niall said to me, they had 2 or 3 kickouts going into the final in 2018, right? And he said, a couple of kickouts, getting away with it really quick. Another kickout was to hit Colin Kavanagh. Another kickout was to try and hit an overload, whatever it was. He says within 12 minutes, Dublin had worked out on the field what Tyrone were going to do. Within 12 minutes. They had more or less decoded the Tyrone strategy, and it said, we know what you're doing. And he said, I was just faced then with a sea of fucking blue, the 3 banks of 4, the swarm press. But I think in play, if Roscommon had done that to that Dublin team, Cluxton would have come out and marked the full forward. The fullback would have pushed on, and they would have squeezed right up on the Conor Carroll, and the pressure would have created panic, and they would have turned Roscommon over and possibly walked one into the net. And that's the reality.
But that's what I'm saying, Stevie. As in, why? Never have I seen a Dublin team let a team like that dictate matters the way they did. Now, Roscommon played the same way against Mayo, and we were pulling our hair out in the first half. I think Roscommon were against Mayo were with the breeze. Roscommon were against it.
That's right.
They didn't squeeze up either. So look at I have my question marks over. We'll say the ballers in terms of the Roscommon full back line. What are they like under pressure? No disrespect to the full back line. Usually their skill set isn't as good as the players out the field. They have obviously a specific role in the team here. So that's not a slight at them. But I just couldn't get over, like you said there, the scars that Roscommon have had in Croke Park over the last few years. I thought it was a missed opportunity from Dublin here to really go after them and really, if they conceded a couple of goals in the first 15 minutes, Roscommon, what way would that game have gone?
100%, because Roscommon's whole game plan under Davy is very much get in front, right? Get in front and control the game. Now they have come from behind. I'm not taking out the fact. I tell you what Davy has done. They've actually showed a good bit of character, a bit of steel in them. Yeah. They're younger players that have come through are winners. They've been used to winning, coming through, and when you get that, mentality coming through, it helps. Kieran Murda is a gem of a footballer. Diarmuid Murda is a brilliant footballer. Donny, bags of experience. Enda's a powerhouse player. I thought they were going to struggle around the middle of the field when Ultan went travelling, because he was the heartbeat of the team for me. A real fucking warrior. A real competitive individual. But Big Keith's gone in there. Kieran Lennon has played around the middle as well. They've shown great flexibility, but I tell you what Davy has shown, to be fair, he's shown great trust in his panel as well, because he's not afraid to hold players back. He's not afraid to bring in the likes of Donny late in games, with a bit of experience, someone like Cox who can win you a game and ultimately Cox won the free at the end, which got them the equaliser, But I certainly feel, and from a tactical point of view, Davy got a lot right, but from a tactical point of view, Dublin got a lot wrong. Yeah. And that's my concern moving forward, is for them, it actually probably says to me, and I know you don't want to hear this, the one standout team is Mayo, and like there's probably no one else that has stood out. And let's be honest, like there's no one has shown the level of consistency that Mayo have shown. They're league champions. Yes, they were caught by Roscommon in the Connacht Championship, but you know something? See that 4 or 5 weeks, best thing that probably happened to them, you know, and all the teams that won their provincial championship ironically looked very stale and very flat when they played.
Yeah,
Know?
that's a yeah, and do you know what? That's a very good point, Stevie. In terms of Mayo, look, they do look. Yeah, I'm afraid to say, it, but yeah, like in terms of All Ireland contenders here, like Dublin, they're like a Jekyll and Hyde team at the moment. Like one week they're very good, they're smashing teams, and next week we'll say the Kildare performance, and then they smash Loud, and then we're gonna back. Look, this is no slight on Roscommon here. Like to be honest with you, I don't know where Dublin are at here. Like it's very hard to judge where they're at here in terms of Ireland contenders, because like at the start of the year, me and you probably said, look at Dublin and Kerry are the top two. Then you probably have Galway, Mayo, and Derry kind of in the second tier, hovering.
Yeah.
And then Roscommon on the third tier maybe. But now, like looking at Kerry and Dublin here, I don't have fuck all confidence in them, to be honest with you.
And the thing is, and this is the thing for me, I think from a psychological perspective, that draw will have helped Roscommon. Now, if they had to get a win, obviously it would have been huge from a group perspective. It would have been absolutely, psychologically, it would have been mammoth to pick up a win against Dublin at home. But it's actually probably given a lot of other counties now, even probably start this weekend with Kildare. It's probably given a lot of counties say, you know something, maybe they're just not as freaking invincible. Because the Leinster final probably papered over a lot of cracks, and like Louth have been good this year, right? But Louth have been more impressive in RD than they have been anywhere else. Really and truly, RD has become a bit of a fortress for them. A home venue, whatever. That a good result in Navan against Meath, but Meath were absolutely toxic, pathetic throughout the National League. So I wouldn't read too much into that. But Louth, probably did. They probably did maybe. Flatter to deceive. And when it came to the Leinster final, then of course they were found out, unfortunately, in Croke Park in that 10-minute spell where Dublin just dismantled their kick out, and hit 1-4, 1-5. But for me, Enda, and this is something I'm going to say to you, if Roscommon win at the weekend against Sligo, they've qualified.
Yeah.
Qualified for the All Ireland knockout, whatever. Now they might have qualified as a quarter-finalist or a preliminary round, whatever, but they're still through. Would Roscommon fear Mayo in an All-Ireland quarter-final? Probably not. Roscommon, and I'm serious here, would Roscommon, now Mayo would probably be comfortable playing them. I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is Roscommon will probably go away from this now thinking, do you know what? This is wide open. And why could this not be the year that we break the glass ceiling and get ourselves to an All-Ireland final? But, who's to say it couldn't happen? They finished third in Division 1. They finished third. They have generally shocked me, and now, to be honest with you, because obviously I know the players and they're a great bunch of lads or whatever. I did think that the couple of players that they were missing this year were going to hurt them, but to be fair to Davy and the boy, they've got them well. They've got them very, very fit, very, very organised, and it just goes to show you when you have a structured game plan and you can control the game, anything is possible. And they have, Kieran is shooting, firing on all cylinders. He's playing brilliant football. Damer's on fire. He's having an Indian summer, having the best season probably of his life. And you've Enda, who's a Rolls Royce on his day, as good a forward as there is in the country, So, listen, they'll be a handful for anybody. And Brian Stack, I seen it in Stacky a couple of years ago. Stacky, Mark, Con O'Callaghan, Shane was twice, and who else was it? It was Clifford. And I'll tell you what, boy, there was very few of them got the better of him. They never got the better of him. And I thought Brian Stack, for me, was as good a man marker as there was out there. Now, he played his Sigerson Cup football at wing half forward for DCU, but it was Anthony Cunningham actually that converted him into a full back, and he's one of the best man markers that Roscommon have at the present moment in time. He's been brilliant. He's been absolutely sensational.